It sounds like something out of Shakespeare that two best friends could become enemies. But in the case of Genghis Khan, real life did look like art. Genghis Khan was a tyrant who ruled from 1162 to 1227. He brought together all of Mongolia's tribes and built a kingdom that went all the way to the Adriatic Sea in Europe. History says that many researchers think Genghis Khan's claim to so much land made the Mongol Empire the biggest empire ever. Yet Genghis Khan was known for more than just the places he took over. In Mongolia and Asia, he helped bring about a change in society. This was done in part through aggressive means, such as widespread genocide that killed off large parts of the population. However, this change also brought about changes for the better, such as religious freedom, and most importantly, a system of rank based on ability rather than birth. Because of this last point, Genghis Khan and Jamukha, a guy who was his blood brother, split up. The start of an important friendship. The book, The Secret History of the Mongols, contains a detailed account of the friendship between these two people. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, this collection of scrolls was composed about the time when Genghis Khan passed away. It is considered to be the most significant account of the warlord's life and accomplishments. Genghis Khan and Jamukha are said to have first met while they were children, during a time when their two tribes would visit one another, as stated in Genghis Khan and the Making of a Modern World. Despite the fact that Genghis Khan and Jamukha shared a tenuous relationship, they sprung from two entirely distinct worlds. While Genghis Khan, whose real name was Temujin at the time of his birth, hailed from a slightly less regal heritage, Jamukha was born into a family that was considered to be of noble status. However, despite the fact that they were only 11 years old at the time, the two came together to form a relationship and establish their first friendship agreement. Knuckle bones and arrowheads were among the items that were traded as presents at this time. As the two individuals grew older, they took part in a ceremony that, according to Mongol culture, elevated them to the status of blood brothers, which is referred to as andas. Among these practices was the consumption of each other's blood, which was considered to be an act of soul sharing. In addition, the ceremony had additional emotionally touching elements, such as the exchange of vows between the couple and the consumption of an undisclosed meal that could not be digested jointly. The tie that was established through the performance of this rite was regarded as one of the most powerful connections that a Mongol could form, even more powerful than a brotherly connection. Andas were people who were produced via free will, in contrast to siblings, who were linked by coincidence. Jamukha was the sole Anda that Temujin would ever create in his entire life before he passed away. The friends face adventure and loss. The fact that the two men were members of different clans meant that they did not always spend time together, and that their day-to-day lives were distinct one another. According to History Collection, a catastrophe occurred when the young wife of Temujin, Borte, was taken captive by the Merkid tribe, which was Temujin's primary adversary. Temujin was concerned that his clan would not have enough members to rescue her and the other victims, so he made a request for assistance to his blood brother. The army that Jamukha commanded was significantly greater than the one that Temujin commanded, and he was eager to come to his friend's aid immediately. They were able to achieve a decisive victory over the Merkid people, as evidenced by the fact that the secret history spoke of a end of the men and their descendants, as cited in Genghis Khan and the Making of a Modern World. Following this significant victory, Temujin made a solemn oath of allegiance to Jamukha and renounced his prior position as a hunter in order to take on the role of a herder and steppe warrior under the command of his comrade. In addition, the two men came to the conclusion that they would once again publicly swear fealty to one another. Temujin and Jamukha swapped their most prized golden sashes and their most cherished horses at the vow renewal ceremony, which was recounted in a post on Medium. The ceremony took place on the edge of a cliff. A night of celebration followed the two friends' vows. which included the promise that they would love each other. The pledge was followed by a night of celebration. Following the conclusion of the celebrations, the two individuals slept together as brothers united beneath the same blanket. But cracks started to form in their friendship. Under Jamukha's leadership, Temujin became a herder and a steppe warrior, during which time he also joined his clan to that of his blood brother. It was necessary for Temujin to take commands from Jamukha, despite the fact that the new post was seen as more prestigious and provided Temujin and his family with a better standard of living. Quickly, this resulted in stress. In the culture of the Mongols, men were designated as either white bone or black bone. On the other hand, those who were deemed to be of black bone were regarded as being of lower quality. The former was the equal of blue blood status. It was white bone for Jamukha, and it was black bone for Temujin. According to the secret history, Jamukha began to give Temujin with less respect as time went on. This was because Jamukha began to place more importance on their bloodline rather than their Andaz relationship. According to Genghis Khan and the Making of a Modern World, historians do not know the explanation for this, but they have theorized that it could have been because Khan was more popular among the men who were living in the camp. It is also possible that Temujin's belief in meritocracy was a driving force behind it. The ruling elite, which included Jamukha, was infuriated and threatened by this, and it was regarded an insult. Even though Temujin was frustrated by the way their relationship was evolving, he ultimately lost his cool in the year 1181. As was their routine, Temujin and Jamukha were riding side by side as they led their troops to a new camp. They were in the process of following their soldiers. Temujin was given the order to take the sheep and goats and set up camp beside the river by Jamukha, who was determined to demonstrate his superiority over Temujin. While everything was going on, he went ahead and brought the horses to a camp near the mountains. The bloody fallout. The message that Jamukha conveyed was unmistakable, and it appeared that he was determined to humiliate Temujin by giving him orders to perform duties that were beneath his dignity. Borte, Temujin's wife, encouraged him to break away and form his own troop, despite the fact that Temujin thought about whether or not he should obey orders. After listening to what was being spoken, Khan and his men made a stealthy escape from the camp during the night. This is when the schism started. While each of the two men worked to solidify their authority and become the ultimate king of the Mongols, they expanded their clans and engaged in a war that lasted for 20 years against other tribes that were spread out across the steppe. However, it was not until the year 1189 that the two individuals finally met one another, and the outcome was a horrible one. According to the account provided by History Extra, Jamukha not only emerged victorious in the conflict, but he also appeared determined to demonstrate his ruthlessness to Temujin's men. He boiled alive Temujin's captured generals, which, according to Mongol belief, meant that their souls would be extinguished. This was the most horrifying example of his actions. "The earth was soaked with the blood of my warriors," Temujin wrote in his journal. "Never again would I be defeated, and my loyal warriors so dishonored." However, Jamukha's nasty behavior didn't work out. He had the reputation of being a heartless ruler as a result of this, and a significant number of his soldiers deserted him to join other tribes. In addition to this, it inspired Temujin to find a new set of people and exact revenge. When Temujin and Jamukha finally did meet again, it was in the summer of 1204, and this time the Blackbone warlord would emerge victorious. This confrontation took place 5 years later. An emotional ending. Temujin continued to feel an emotional connection to Jamukha, the man he had believed to be his brother in the past, despite the fact that Jamukha was brutal to his captives. Jamukha was contacted by the well-known warrior who made a request to her, saying, "Let us be companions. Now we are joined together once again. We should remind each other of things we have forgotten, wake each other from our sleep. Even when you went away, and were apart from me, you were still my lucky sworn brother, he said, according to Mongol law, via medium. Jamukha was profoundly affected by the request, and it is said that the aristocratic chieftain asked his blood brother for forgiveness as a result. Jamukha, on the other hand, insisted that he himself be put to death. This was the custom. It was Jamukha's belief that his ghost would be able to protect Temujin if he passed away, and that his death was the most compelling evidence of his loyalty. Take my life and bury my carcass in the highest point of the mountain, that is, in perpetuity and without end. Jamukha declared, I will safeguard the seed that you have planted, and I will become a blessing for this people. The parameters were acceptable to Temujin, despite the fact that it was not the resolution that he had hoped for. In the end, he was able to kill Jamukha by breaking his back, which was considered to be the most merciful manner, because it did not result in any blood spilling. In addition to this, he laid his comrade to rest with the golden sash that they had traded numerous years previously. Jamukha was the last person who could have prevented Temujin from ascending. After he passed away, the renowned warlord adopted the name Genghis Khan, which literally translates to universal ruler, and thus began his journey toward leaving his mark on history. We hope you liked this video. Watch another video here.